On this Frozen edition of Game Shack, it's my top 5 things that AtGames can do to make their home arcade games even better in the year 2023. All that and more coming up next. Hey everybody, welcome on into the Game Shack. I am your host, JDV. And there really is no exaggeration to say it's cold here in the Game Shack. I only heat this place with a small kerosene heater, and I don't have it totally insulated yet, so it gets pretty cold, and it's gonna get a whole lot colder as the storm of, well, this century, I guess, comes barreling through. The biggest storm in a generation is sweeping across the US just days before Christmas, and so that got me to thinking, hey, what can AtGames do to make our lives better in the year 2023? Well, you know, something. Anyway, the year's about to run out, and AtGames didn't have a whole lot of wow, but they did do something that I had been asking them for a long time to do, and that is give us game packs. And they did. They gave us game packs all over the place. They gave us a whole bunch of pinball games galore for the ALP, whole lot of firmware improvements to that, just generally speaking, trying to make their systems a little bit better. And one of the things that they did is give us the Activision pack, both for the ALP and the ALU. Now, I briefly review the Activision pack for the ALP, and it looks great on the ALP. I haven't put it on the ALU, but I expect to before too long. Actually, I hope to have that review up in a couple of weeks, so I salute them for that. But there are 5 things that they can do to make their product even more attractive to a wider audience. And I'm going to start off actually kind of in order of importance with my most important thing that I'm going to say for last. 1, give us better skins that we can put on the game. I actually still really like the shape of it and the size of it. There's a lot of things to still love about the cab, but I would like to rebrand the cab without having to necessarily go through a third-party distributor. 2, speaking of the good size of the ALU, it'd be a really good cab to make into a shooter. Even for 2 guys could probably shoot at this game really easy, just because it is a bigger machine and has the biggest screen in this market segment. So if they could come out with a light gun, or at least announce plans that they are in development for light gun games, so that we'll at least be able to see them in early 2024. Unless they want to concede that market segment entirely, really ought to come out with some light guns, or at least announce plans to. 3, third thing that I'd like to see is a better UI on the ALP. That is a very good pinball game, I think, for the money. I mean, there really isn't anything else that touches it for its versatility, the ability to add games, put their back boxes up there if you use a PC. Really do think it's something that they ought to throw a little bit of money at, because if they could somehow get a really beautiful front end for their products, I think they would sell a lot more of them. It is very intimidating to particularly younger people to try to navigate the system of the ALP, and that's a shame because it is a really good machine. 4, sticking with pinball, the thing that I would really like to see from AtGames is the same thing that I hope that Arcade 1-Up announces, and that is a higher-end virtual pinball game. So while you guys know I really do still like the ALP, it is sort of a gateway drug. Once you have played virtual pinball for a while and then played some real pinball, and then just kind of as the specs sort of have gone up in the last 2 years, the ALP is really much an entry-level machine, and you do start to desire a machine that has higher-end stats. So it would be really nice if AtGames would announce that they are working on what I'll just call a 4K virtual pinball table. Higher resolution, higher refresh rate, better blacks, just better pinball game, and marketed at the $2,000 or $3,000 mark. Right now, to get in a machine like that, you'd have to spend about $4,000 at a third party, maybe $4,500. That would get you into a pretty decent 4K machine at this point. Just through, you'd think, the sheer amount of numbers and experience in the business, they ought to be able to bring that in at maybe $2,000 or $3,000. I know that's kind of a pipe dream, and I know it is a niche type segment of the market, but I just love pinball, and right now there is no big company really putting out a higher end 4K type table. 5, And the number one thing that I really hope that AtGames addresses in the year 2023 is the inability to change out monitors on either the ALP or the ALU. As far as I know, all other editions, the 1.1 and going up in the ALU, and all versions of the pinball game, you cannot change out the monitor. Well, that is a real bummer, because you could put together a very, very slick 32-inch, maybe even 34-inch 4K OLED type screen for $300-400 now, really upgrade the performance level on that and not have to change anything else. Just the refresh rate alone would be amazing, and you just can't do it. Yes, you can change out the back glass to a certain degree. Yeah, you can add the third monitor and all that, but what you really can't do is change out the playfield. So what people end up doing is just gutting the entire machine, and then they never get to play the tables that were originally on there. I think that's kind of a sin. Anyway, so that's what I really want to see, is whatever wiring they have back in there to be able to go out into an HDMI out type cord so that you could replace the monitor. I know that's a really geeky thing, but that's what I want. If you liked this video, please give me a thumbs up on the way out the door. Stay warm as this storm crashes across the nation. Love each other, and until next time, I'll see you guys in the Game Shack. Mwah!
Be sure to visit evilgeniusentertainment.com for exclusive content, swag, casting call news, and much, much more.